Good evening, everybody. This is All Things Cheryl, basically here with another video, Greenleaf review and recap. Of course, this is the final season, and I think a lot of us going to really miss this show because I definitely do enjoy it. Of course, let's get on with my review and recap. Sophia in the bed, sleeping. Mom come through, sling open the curtains, let all the sunshine come in. And of course, teenagers, they like to sleep late. And Sophia is not really having it. She's not really trying to get up to move. And Grace is saying, well, what's going on? How come you just now, moving? It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. She's looking at her watch. It's 9 o'clock. Look, you need to come on, get dressed. You have exactly 8 minutes to get dressed. I think it was eight, maybe been four, but I believe it was 8 minutes to get on downstairs because Grandma is basically having the service and that they will not be going to church, and this is the last service for Calverton, and that grandmother wants to start out our new church with, uh, a very good a coming and going and letting it go, if I wanted to explain it like that. And so, Sophia says, well, I don't want to come to church, but I'll see if I can make it to the brunch. And so basically, we see that Charity had already said that she wasn't gonna play, but of course everybody's thinking that she had basically uh, stepped away from Hope and Harmony. But we know the real truth. The real truth was is that Judy fired at her part because basically she wanted to do a PowerPoint, and Judy didn't want to do the PowerPoint. She went to Connie. Connie says no, and one thing led to another, and so Judy says, "You're fired." So she comes home and she gives everybody the impression that she stepped away, but really we know the deal, and basically we're probably later on as we move on, we'll find out that the fact that she hopefully she'll tell them what really happened. And so we go on and we see all the family is basically there. AJ decides that he's going to come there, and Lady May, did her first spiel saying that we have everything to be grateful. And then, of course, Karissa basically chimed in because she's still on a sour note due to the fact that her and Jacob has not come to a conclusion. And that, well, while they were in the bedroom, she really told Jacob, she said, look, I really don't want to go through this. I really don't want to do this to her. So while she was downstairs, while Lady Mae was doing her first sermon with just the Greenleaf members, and she was doing all this sadness and saying, "I don't know what's the point to all of this." And so, that kind of disturbed the bishop. And the bishop turned around and looked at it and said, "Look, when you first got here, when you first got here, you had a pretty nice disposition. It would be nice if you kind of like behave yourself." And then Jacob said, "Oh, amen." And then the bishop looked over him and said, "That means for you too. Look, you all got to get yourself together." And so basically, the sermon with Lady May was a good sermon. And of course, we see Connie. And basically, Connie is there to give them support. And the only reason why Connie's mother didn't really come is because Connie's mom wanted to be there. And so it looks like Connie's mom is basically giving them a blow by blow as to what's going on in uh, harmony and hope due to the fact that nobody is there. And of course, you know what Charity told them about when it came to the music. The audacity of Judy. We found out that Judy basically was singing some type of song. I don't even know what type of song it was, but she was basically singing it. And then we find out that uh, Connie was basically telling them exactly what was going on, and that the fact that Phil and Judy, and then when they got finished with their service at Hope and Harmony, that they were outside with a hard hat on, taking pictures and everything, due to the fact that they have 2 more days before uh, Calvary, the church basically get demolition to the ground. And so the mission and what Lady Mae was saying, it was a new day, but of course, Karissa wasn't really feeling it. And so while everybody was basically talking, we see that Zara and Sophia was basically talking about what what was going on in Hampton, and the fact that the pictures that she did basically of her boob is still rolling around on the internet up into the clouds. And so she's still upset about that. And so we also find out that uh, we also found out that, sorry for the delay, just trying to read my notes. We also found out that uh, Lady Mae basically is going on her way down to see Tara. Uh, James, I think her name is Tara James, which is basically Skank's stepsister, I believe. I'm not quite sure. And so the bishop asked Lady May basically did she wanted him to come, and so she said basically no, don't need you to come because two of you guys, Jacob and you, went down there and basically you didn't get anything done. And so Lady May says, well, the best thing you could do is basically pray because I'm basically going to go down there and talk to her, right? And so we see that basically Lady Mae goes down to the church where Tyra, I think it's Tyra, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, where Basie's stepsister or sister is basically there, and we see her actually doing a food bank. And so Lady Mae is basically watching her as she move about in basically the church. So Lady Mae does come up out of her car to go and talk to Tara about the fact that she is in the church, and she asked her all kinds of questions, asked her what exactly is the future of the church and everything. And so while Lady Mae is basically talking to basically Skank's sister, we see that um, Charity is basically with her son, and Charity also with Zara and Sophia. And so Charity asked Zara and Sophia if they could basically watch the baby for her while she, go and make a call. She was talking to her son. She says, I gotta go, I want to go make a call. And so she asked the ladies her nieces, basically to watch the baby. And of course, you all know that Sophia has this thing about children due to the fact that she cannot have children at the beginning of the first year that uh, 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 Greenleaf came on. We found out that Sophia had some issues and problems. She had her ovaries removed, so she is unable to have babies. And so Sophia basically wasn't too comfortable due to the fact that, the baby was there. And so this is when we see Jacob and Kerissa tells Zara, says, come, we need to talk to you. And Zara was kind of, getting smart and everything and making a joke. But Kerissa and Jacob said, look, this is serious. We need to come and talk to you. We need to talk to you. And so um, Zara, we see Zara sitting down and everything, and making a crack joke about the fact that when couples get a divorce and everything, and so this is when basically uh, Jacob tells Zara that we are really, really, really getting a divorce, and so this is when Zara Zara basically chewed in on the both of them because she basically knew, when they were together, that the marriage wasn't really doing that well anyway. And then, of course, Zara gets upset and said, "Well, I wish you all had went on and got a divorce long time ago." And then this is when Jacob said, "Watch your mouth." Well, I think it was Karissa says, "Watch your mouth." And then this is when Karissa didn't really tell Zara that she stepped out, but she alluded the fact that she basically stepped out. And so, of course, Zara got upset and everything. She started crying. And so she left and then she went on to the cabinet. In the meantime, we see that AJ and the bishop is basically before Jacob and Kerissa had this candid conversation with Zara to tell her that they was getting a divorce. We see the bishop and AJ bonding by way of a GTO car that was basically out in the garage in a big old box that basically had been there for years, and he never did open it up because it was basically coming for to his father. Bishop was taking this opportunity to basically bond with AJ and give him some type of word of wisdom, and actually told AJ that asked AJ what type of car did he basically like, and of course AJ say he like a Beamer or whatever. But then the bishop says, "Look, uh, I always really wanted to do, to build my car and everything. And I'll tell you what, if you basically help me to build this car, and we build this car together, the car is actually yours." So I think the bishop was basically using this opportunity to basically bond with his grandson and, talk to him and try to give some words of encouragement and get a little bit closer. Now, in the meantime, while all of this word of wisdom was basically going on with the bishop, we see Charity, right? Charity gets on the phone and Charity makes a call to, um, I believe, Philip's father, and I think they said the father's name was Shabab or something. I'm not quite sure, but I do know that uh, Charity gets on the phone, and so Philip's father said, "Look, Bishop, I told you time is up." And so this is when Charity basically says, "I'm sorry, this is not the bishop. This is the daughter of the Greenleaf." And then this is when Philip's father said, "Oh, you sound like you kind of cute over the phone, right?" And so she went on to start asking questions and everything. And this is when she went on and told uh, Philip's father that she almost was uh, his daughter-in-law. And she went on and basically told him exactly what was going on. And then this is when she began to basically ask questions about Philip's wife and about, I guess, this loaning company that was Bob Whitfield allegedly, supposedly have or underneath their name or something. But she didn't get very far because he basically slammed the phone on her. So, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. So, in the meantime, while we see all this, right, we basically see all this. And then this is when we see that Noah. Now, Noah decides that he wants to go down memory lane, right? He wants to go down memory lane while Grace and Noah was basically at the first service of, Lady May. He wants to go down memory lane, and we find out that Grace loses her virginity when the church first began. And so Grace says, "Well, don't say anything to AJ about it." And so we go on and we find out that Grace is basically talking to Noah, telling Noah about everything about the house, about the will, and everything. And so she tells Noah that I'm basically tired. I haven't really had any rest. I need to get some rest. And then Noah says, well, maybe you need to just sit and just rest and go to sleep. So this is when Noah basically had a pillow. He puts the pillow down on his lap and tell Grace to go ahead and basically lay down and go to sleep, right? And so while Grace is basically going to sleep, we see that Lady May has had this conversation with Tara, and she tells Tara that basically she has done a good job with the church. And so we come back, and then the bishop is basically having a conversation, and then the bishop basically asks this lady May, "Okay, so what's the final decision? What are we going to do?" And so the bishop, so Lady May says, "Well, we're gonna give her the church. We're gonna basically give her the church, and that's the word for me to give her the church. And I basically asked for new beginnings, and we're going to go ahead and give her the church." And so this is basically the bishop got prior kind of sort of upset. He wasn't really feeling that. He wasn't really feeling that. Prior before that, the bishop basically had went to Grace to see whether or not if Grace could assist him, because what he wanted to do uh, was to offer her a large sum of money. And basically, we know that Grace is kind of sort of loaded because her papa. Now we know the history about. We know that the bishop is not Grace's father. We know who the real father is, and the father passed away. I think it was last year. Passed away, and basically left money for Grace, but didn't really treat the brother, Grace's brother, who is a lawyer for the family, that well. We'll go on and we'll talk a little bit more about that. I'm sure that will come up later on as we move on into the final seasons and the final episodes. And so we come back, and Lady May has this kind of conversation. Says, "Look, we're giving her the house," and Bishop says, "Giving her a house, giving her the house." Oh no, we're not. We really not really having that or anything like that. We can't be doing that. I'm not going to do that. And so that's when the bishop tells Lady May what he had basically done as far as asking Grace if she could basically help them as far as giving money to see if they could keep the house. Lady May was not really for it. She basically does not want to take Grace's money. She said she wants to start from the beginning, and she doesn't want to start it like this, taking money from her daughter. While they were basically all into this argument, Grace had just woken up from her the nap. And then this is when we find out that Noah told Grace that uh, the caretaker, who was basically the keeper of the property, was basically a white man. Now we find out that uh, this mansion has a lot of history behind it. We find out that Miss Davis was also a white woman, also was a white woman, and so we find out that the caretaker basically kept notes on about the mansion, who comes on the mansion, all the various things that they do. How she found out about it is that Noah told her about it. And so this is when Grace sees that Zora is basically is crying, and so Zora tells her auntie that her mother and father is basically getting a divorce. In the meantime, we see that after Charity basically got hung up by Phil's father on the phone. We see that Charity basically comes and tells the bishop and Lady May for them to basically come and that they are going to uh, go visit the church to, say their final farewell, and that the fact that, that they were blessed in order to go to this church. So we see all of them together. Everybody's there. I don't think I saw Noah and AJ. No, Noah and AJ wasn't there, but everybody else was. And so we see um, everybody, in a circle. And so we have a conversation with Lady May and the bishop. And the bishop tells Lady May that, instead of him serving one God, he was basically serving her, and plus not really serving God too, but mostly he served her uh, majority of the time. And so he finally made up his mind and said, okay, look, we'll basically are going to go ahead. If this is what you want to do, if you want to go ahead and give the house up, you can go ahead and give the mansion up. I'm with you. And so Lady Mae was like in agreement with this. Now, while they, get together and everything, and they are all happy and everything, and they're on their way up to the steps, and the bishop and Lady May tells the bishop that it's going to be okay, have faith. The fact that they are going to give up their house, that they are going to make it. So she basically tells them to have faith. And so basically, they knocks on the door. The bishop and Lady May knocks on the door together. And so Tara basically opens up the door, and she says, "Oh, I didn't expect for you all to be basically back so soon." And then all of a sudden, we see the door opens a little bit more wider. And when the door opens up a little bit more wider, who do we see in the doorway? Rochelle. And I was like, "Oh, righty." Rochelle basically opens up the door, and the bishop and Lady May had this look on their face. It's like, what the hell is going on here? We basically had decided to come and let you all know, and let you know that we basically going to be giving up the house. They didn't tell her this, and she didn't know exactly what they were really there for. But when they saw Rochelle, everything went null and void. In other words, they're not giving up the house, even though they didn't tell her exactly what's going on. And this is when Rochelle basically told her sister, she said, "See, I told you. What did I tell you about those Greenleafs? The Greenleafs are just like an old penny. They keep coming back." And it ended. Now, I might have missed some things. I don't think I missed some things, but this was it was really, really slow because everything is kind of sort of building up, right? We see that the storyline is really concentrating on Sophia and going back together again, going back to Hampton. She really doesn't want to go back to Hampton, and the only reason why she don't want to go is because she feels ashamed. But I forgot to tell you that AJ seemed like he was gonna come in, and that he basically have saved the day. Is like a word of wisdom. And he basically asked her, "Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay here the rest of your life?" She said, "I want to be here with you and Zara." Yeah, she said, "What do you want to do?" Eventually, in so many words, she told him, "Look, you eventually got to grow up. You cannot be around here in here with all of these adults, grown adults, and they're still here living with their mother and father and their parents. You got to grow up and eventually go out and learn on your own." So that was pretty good. But Um, the most important part is that Rochelle I knew that she was really up to something. I really got a disdain. I didn't really like her. I thought she was pretty cool. I said, "Oh, she's gonna be really cool." But when she got on that phone and she called up her sister, knew it was the sister because when she said, "Guess who come to visit me?" It was almost like, "Guess who's coming to dinner?" And so we know that Rochelle is about to wreak havoc and raise hell. Wreak havoc and raise hell. Because we know that there is a disdain between Rochelle, the bishop, and Basie. Now, when Rochelle opened up that door and saw the Greenleafs and she made that statement, we see, and then she was like on her way out, we see the silver, what is it? The silver uh, uh, um, car coming down, slowly riding down the hill. And you see far from a distance. We don't know who was in that car, but I suspect it could be Basie. It could be. We don't know yet, but I suspect it could be and it could be not. Now we know that we can't trust any of them. But I also think that uh, still going to have some problems with Zara because we really don't know exact Zara where Zara is. We know that Zara was having some issues and challenges. We know that she ran away a couple of times. We know that. And we know that Sophia is still drowning in her sorrow that she can't have children. And we know that Noah and Grace is basically, revisiting old times. And we don't know exactly what Derek is doing over there in Los Angeles, rambling through a whole bunch of papers, finding out some issues and challenges as to what's going on with Hope and Harmony and Bob Whitmore. I'm telling you, I don't trust that Derek. I don't really. It's just something about him. I don't know what it is, but it's something about him. Um, till the next time, this is all things Cheryl. Look, are we still in the pandemic? Basically, still put your mask on, still wash your hands, stay 6 feet distance, and remember, love is for everyone. If you like it, please put comments. Please watch the video and become a subscriber. And remember, love is for everyone. And I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.